Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry that I am not in class today. I'm home ill. If you could, please take a look at the warm-up. The answer is on the screen. The black line is the line y equals x plus 4, and the purple line is the line y equals negative 2x plus 10. You're looking for the point of intersection, so we're looking for where the two lines cross, and that's this point right here. Now, when you're writing your answer, you want to make sure you write it in the as an ordered pair. So I'm going to write it as 2, 6, which follows that format of the x value and then the y value. Here are your homework answers. So pause the video right now. Check your answers with your against your assignment. Now that you've checked your answers, please make sure to go ahead and submit your assignment on the Google form that's in your classroom. Also, please make sure you staple your 3 assignments together. Make sure your name is on it and turn it into the sub so she can paper clip it on and place it on my desk. Moving forward with the lesson, though, I want to highlight a few things. One, your homework is going to be problems 80 through 84 found in Chapter 4. This assignment will be due and checked off tomorrow. Hopefully I will be in class for you then. Make sure you write that assignment down. Today what we're going to do is we're going to work on writing rules from word problems and then solving those equations. So taking a look at the first example, buying bicycles, we have 2 characters, Latanya and George, and they're both saving money to buy a bicycle. We learned that Latanya opened a savings account with $50, and she just got a job and is determined to save an additional $30 a week. Now we have oops. Hold on, you guys. Sorry. Okay. Then we also have George, and he started a savings account as well with $75, and he is able to save $25 a week. So using that information, we're going to learn how to write an equation in the form of y equals mx plus b. Remember that the b value is your starting amount. Whoops, bad end. Starting amount. And then the m value is your growth. What are we growing by each time? So when we take a look at Latanya first, she opened a savings account with $50. Now, is that $50 going to be her starting amount or her growth? The correct answer is that's going to be her starting amount. That's how much she is going to open up her savings account with, so that's going to be my B value. She got a job and is determined to save an additional $30 per week. So each week she's adding an additional $30. That's what she's growing by, so that's going to be my M value. So here's the equation for Latanya. Pause the video and see if you can take the time to create an equation for George. Here's the equation that you should have came up with for George. Y equals 25x plus 75. 25 comes from how much he's saving per week, and the $75 is how much he started with in his savings account. Now, hold on to these 2 equations. We're going to come back to those here in a little bit. What I wanted to is take the time to show you how difficult it is to find the point of intersection, because ultimately we're going to be asked the question, when will Latanya and George have the same amount of money? So what we're going to do is take a look at it first graphically. What should the x-axis represent? Well, the x-axis is going to represent the number of weeks it takes to save money. The y-axis then is going to be the amount of money that they have. Now what I'd like you to do is go ahead and grab some graph paper over by the window and graph both Latanya and George's equations on that graph paper. Use the same set of axes for both Latanya and George. Go ahead and pause the video and complete your graph. On my graph, because of the fact that I didn't have a long enough y-axis, I decided to count by 10. So each line represents 10 units or $10. The black line represents Latanya. The purple line represents George. And you're going to see that the point of intersection when they're going to have the same amount of money is right here. And that's the point 5, 200. Now, what does that really mean? What that means is that in 5 weeks, both Latanya and George are going to have $200. Now that graphic took a lot of time, but what if we were able to solve that, solve for the point of intersection and to find the answer a lot faster? In order to do so, we need to take Latanya's equation, y equals 30x plus 50, and we need to take George's equation, y equals 25x plus 75. Now, we are going to use the equal value method. Okay? Now, it's that method that's going to allow us to find the point of intersection algebraically. What we're going to do is we are going to take Latanya's equation, 30x plus 50, and we are going to set it equal to George's equation, and then we're going to solve for x. Now, I'm noticing on our test that we're not being very organized when it comes to our solving. So make sure that when you are subtracting to make 0 pairs, that you have everything lined up. So notice how I'm subtracting 25x on the right side to make a 0 pair, but look at how I lined up the x's right on the left-hand side, right below each other. I now have 5 x's left plus 50 equals, all I have left on the right side is 75. I'm going to subtract 50 because it's already positive from both sides. So I have 5x equaling 25, and then I'm going to divide by 5 to get x to equal 5. So that 5 is going to be the number of weeks that it takes for both Latanya and George to have the same amount of money. Now, to figure out the $200, remember that we need to plug in our answer. 1, to double check to see if we solved this correctly, and 2, to make sure that we get the same answer for both Latanya and George. So I'm going to take that 30, times it by 5, and add 50. And I'm also going to take the 25 and times it by 5 and add 75. In both cases, you are going to get the answer to equal 200, and that's going to be the number of dollars it takes for both Latanya and George to have the same amount of money. So now let's take a look at another problem. In this problem, we're going to first examine the two rules, but try and find the point of intersection looking at a table. Now, if you look at both the first table and the second table, none of those points match up, but we can tell that our point of intersection is going to happen somewhere between 1 and 2, because that's where it changes from both being negative to positive and from positive to negative. So we know that somewhere along those lines they're going to cross, but we don't know exactly. So that's why a table doesn't always give us the point of intersection, and it might not always be beneficial to make one. If you look at the bottom, what I did is I graphed the 2 points. Again, looking at this graph, it's not very easy to identify where that point of intersection is going to be. It could be at 1.25, 1.5, 1.75. We don't know exactly. So that's why the equal values method is very helpful. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to take both of these equations, y equals 4x minus 6 and y equals negative 2x plus 3. And we're going to solve these equations and for the point of intersection. So again, we're going to use that equal values method in order to do so. So what we need to do is take both the 4x minus 6 and the negative 2x plus 3 and set them equal to each other and solve. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 x's to both sides. That's going to make a 0 pair on the right side, and then I'm going to end up with 6 x's on the left. Now I'm going to go ahead and add 6 to both sides. That's going to make a 0 pair on the left side. Leaving me with 6x equals 9. I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 6. When I do that, I get x to equal 3 over 2, or 1.5 as you might say. All I did was reduce the fraction. Okay, so this is x equals 1.5. But when we're trying to find a point of intersection, you need both the x value and the y value, and that is why we have to plug it in to figure out the y value. So what we do is we take 4 times 3 over 2, or 1.5, minus 6, and we're going to take negative 2 times 3 over 2, plus 3. And we do this to check for 2 things. 1, what is the y value? And 2, to make sure that we get the same answer, to know that we solved it correctly. To multiply fractions, you're going to take your whole number, multiply it by the numerator, and then divide by the denominator. So I'm going to take 4 times 3, which is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 3, again, is 0. So my point of intersection ends up being 1.5, comma, 0. Ladies and gentlemen, again, to remind you that there are 3 methods to find the point of intersection, or where 2 lines cross. I will be checking your 3 answers tomorrow in class, along with your homework assignment, which is Chapter 4, problems 80 through 84. The remaining time in class is for you to complete your assignment and to come up with the 3 different methods. But all 3 methods were illustrated in today's video.